Welcome to Navigating Hope, your compass to health empowerment. I'm Dr. Jaime Hope, steering you through healthcare, overcoming overwhelm, personal goals, and emergencies. We'll navigate the healthcare maze with actionable insights and real-world advice, unlocking the secrets to a healthier, more vibrant life. Join us to take control of your well-being and make informed decisions for your health and your future. Stay with us as we unravel the mysteries of medicine, wellness, and life's unforeseen challenges, helping you bypass the ER with a dose of knowledge. Stay tuned till the end of the episode with a recap of your actionable insights and a free gift. Let's chart a course to your well-being together. All right, welcome back to another episode of Navigating Hope. I am beyond excited to bring somebody I have been wanting to since I thought of doing this podcast in the first place because of her expertise in every single one of the Hope pillars. I am delighted to introduce to you international influencer, educational consultant, best-selling author, just all-around amazing human, Brianna Greenspan. Welcome so much, Brianna. I'm so excited to have you.
You're the sweetest. I love you so much. It's so excited to be with you today.
Thank you. Now, people see where you're at now, and we're going to get into the ways that you are changing culture, changing conversations. But it's easy to see somebody like you and your level of success and influence and think that you had it easy, that you didn't have to overcome any struggle to get there. And I've actually found that some of the top people I've ever known in my life, which clearly includes you, have had to overcome. So Brie, tell us your origin story. How did you get so passionate about helping people in the first place?
My origin story involves a conscious breath before I share a little bit about how growing up with a complex chronic illness really navigated all of my decision making and all of the conscious choices that I implore each day. I was born with a variety of health challenges. I never stopped crying until I could talk. By the time I was talking, I was constantly complaining. There was an ouchie and a bobo and a challenge and a problem, and that led to specialist after specialist and label and diagnosis and medication and therapy and assistive device after assistive device for the first 20 years of my life. And every single time that we thought we'd gotten a handle on something, we'd gotten a new diagnosis, a new medication, a new protocol, more symptoms would arise. And the multitude of physical symptoms that I experienced on a moment-to-moment basis caused me to miss large chunks of instructional time in school. And so I was always playing catch up. And on top of having these physical challenges, I also had a lot of academic challenges. So I was slower, and there were a lot of labels for that. I had, an IEP growing up, and there were a lot of challenges in school. The nature of school, reading and writing, was very challenging, and the sitting and the different routines or things that were involved within school, I had a lot of challenges navigating. So I was constantly throwing up. I was constantly going to the nurse to get new medication. I was constantly being pulled out of school to go to different specialists or doctors or therapies. And things became pretty complex around third grade emotionally, when the girls in my grade started an I Hate Brianna Club because they thought that sick was gross. And they really let me know that I was different, and that wasn't well received. And so that is really where the limiting belief narrative that I didn't really want people to see my illness, and I didn't really want to be seen. I wanted to hide from the world. That's really where that came from. And so there's a lot to the origin story, but I will say that there were a lot of physical challenges and academic challenges and relational challenges that riddled the first 20 years of my life up until I lost the ability to walk. And that is really like the catalyst turnaround moment, if you will. I often call that my spiritual awakening, when I hit my rock bottom, where I had lost the ability to walk, and I kept telling my parents and the neurosurgeon and all of the therapists that something was radically wrong. I had an L5 S1 fusion surgery to try and correct the spine challenges that I had, which was just one of the many challenges that I had. But that surgery, things got drastically worse after that surgery, like in ways that things were already undescribable, and they hit a whole new level that it took me to a place where I was confident that if this was what my life would look like, I did not want to be alive. And I said to my parents, like, it hurts to breathe, hurts to move, like it hurts to go to the bathroom. Like going to the bathroom is like going through like a marathon, like just to be able to get up. Each inch of moving was just so painful in so many ways that there was constantly an emergency, and there was constantly overwhelm, and there was constantly like a not positive relationship with healthcare, because I was like searching for answers and they were giving me answers, but those answers came with more implications and challenges and side effects, and didn't really do that much. Like it was like a band-aid. It wasn't really like the thing. And so there was a lot of complexities that were all multi-layered, and it was a very complex environment to grow up in and to be in, and to hit ahead when I was 20 saying like, if this is it, I don't want to be alive anymore. And in the transition of transitions, as I mentioned, I had flown home to see a neurosurgeon about my spine surgery because something was drastically wrong. And that morning I woke up, I don't know, I had like 2-3 hours before we went to the neurosurgeon. And I woke up to a phone call from a friend telling me that my best friend had just OD'd and died. And so I was now away from school, and he had just passed away. And I came to find out that he passed away from a prescription medication overdose of prescription medications that he was not supposed to have, that he had acquired from someone else. And flash forward, I went to the neurosurgeon and we told him what was going on. You know, I said the same thing I just said to you. It hurt to breathe, it hurt to move. And he said that my spine surgery didn't work, and that they were going to give me more steroid shots and up my physical therapy and give me a new back brace and give me an extended handicap placard, because at that point I had a handicap placard, and that's kind of a longer story. And that he was going to up my medications, and he'd been prescribed the same medication my friend had just OD'd and died from. And I had a spiritual awakening. Literally in that moment, I asked my first appreciative question, which changed the trajectory of my life. And so I asked the first question, was there anything out there that could best support me with the way that I feel? And if so, where could I find it? How could I access it? Like what was out there, and where like was it within arm's reach? And if not, like how could I navigate that sea? Because someone somewhere at some point had struggled and overcome it or navigated through it. And in this moment, I went from, you know, telling my parents, if this is it, I don't really want to live anymore, to my friend passing away, to me having the awareness that the suggestion that the person that I was supposed to look up to, the healthcare provider, the neurosurgeon, NASA's chief neurosurgeon, this guy was like the best. I'm from Houston. We had like the best doctors, and all these people were supposed to support the things I was struggling with, but that did not happen. It was a bunch of band-aids, and it was a bunch of side effects, and it was a bunch of comorbidities that were just amplifying each other. And it was a bunch of not good situations, one after the other after the other. And I was constantly getting knocked down and then having another situation amplify on it. And it was such a struggle to just be. And that's what the first 20 years of my life was like. And then I asked myself this question: what was out there? Is there anything out there that can best support me with what I'm feeling? And if so, where is it? And that really started my visualization journey, my personal goals journey, my journey to navigate overwhelm and emergencies with grace, and my ability to start to cultivate a higher level of resilience so that when I got knocked down, I had the tools and strategies to pick myself back up. And the last 17 years have been a journey in doing just that. So that is the long and the short of the origin story, friend.
And you master that journey. I mean, you've overcome more in your youth in those origin years than some people have in multiple lifetimes. And it could have gone so many different ways. You could not be here right now. You could be disabled as defined by the doctors. You could not be walking. And I have walked many places alongside of you. And I mean, you've got it. And then, but the way that you were stifled, the way that you were told you were different, you were less than because you had the struggles. So when I met you, I met this incredibly powerful woman who had launched so many people and amplified, and you ripple so much kindness and compassion. I could spend the entire time just telling stories of things I've seen you do and heard you do, but you still didn't feel like you had your voice. So you overcame and said, you asked that generative question. So a lot of people who are struggling with healthcare, like, what can I do that can best support me is a good question, because sometimes it is medication and sometimes it isn't. And I love that.
Yeah, I ask myself this question every morning, despite what I'm feeling, what can I do to best support myself right now? And then I regularly ask myself, despite what I'm feeling, what do I need in my environment to best support me if and when? And so, like right before we got on this podcast, I said, oh, I really want water right here. Give me a second to go get a cup of water. Why? Because if I want water, like if I want to hydrate myself, I want to make sure it's accessible. And so in the reducing overwhelm, one of the things, and in the focusing on personal goals aspects of my life, I reduce overwhelm and am able to hit and set and navigate personal goals at a high level because I put the things that I need in proximity. For instance, I have a little foot situation going on right now. So I have this thing that's on my desk for the foot situation. I have a little nausea situation going on right now. So I have this thing on my desk for the nausea situation. I have a little hydration situation going on right now. So I have the electrolytes, I have the tea sitting right here. And I could go on. I have a dozen plus things on my desk, on my nightstand, in the living room, in the bathroom, in the kitchen, in my backpack, at friends' houses, in my car, that are my tools to have when things are challenging. What do I want to have available? So if this is a situation and it happens regularly and there's something I can do about it, what is the thing that I'm going to need and how close can I get it to me? Because when the situation happens, normally when I was a child or an adolescent, I would get overwhelmed by a symptom because I didn't know that there was a tool out there. Then when I did learn that there were tools out there, I'd get overwhelmed with a situation because the tool would be too far. I'm in the moment and the thing is far. And now I know what I need, but I cannot speak or move in a way to get the thing or ask for the thing. So that led to that intentional question surrounding access and proximity. What do I need to put where and when in order to best support myself with what may come? And so that was a fascinating deep dive into eliminating overwhelm and the precursor to hitting personal goals, because as I was able to mitigate the situations where I would stay in overwhelm for like long periods of time and then be in a space of overwhelm for a very short amount of time before moving into rapid, massive action, that shifted the amounts of times that I'd sit in an emergency or in a state of overwhelm into a small fraction of my time versus the majority of every moment of my life.
Yeah. I mean, the way you set yourself up for success, you had to learn these things. You had to do some trial and error. You had to create your morning routines. You've been part of the Miracle Morning community for 17 years, like a leader in this space and a top voice. But you had to walk the walk in order to teach other people. So one of my favorite things in a thought leader and an influencer like you is you actually do the work. You don't just teach it, which it can be a little novel in this industry. I know we're both laughing.
I
You're so consistent
with your integrity and with yourself, like to a level people could not even begin to understand. And I just freaking love that about you.
I love you so much. And I so appreciate that because you said two things that were like so aligned. You said something about rippling kindness a moment ago. And I was like, oh, I almost interrupted you because our newest book is called A Ripple of Kindness. True story. True story. Comes out next month. True.
Of course. It's one of my affirmations that I learned from you. I ripple kindness and compassion like every day. And
obviously, like why?
I've watched you do it, and I've met people who didn't know that we knew each other, and we both know, like, we know this about you because you do this.
Here's the thing. I am one person and I impact a lot of people. So
Yes.
like I'm one person who impacts many. But if you could be that, like for anyone who's listening, if you can be the type of person, which all of us are, the type of person who impacts many at some capacity, and you impact them in a positive or negative way, but that's what's happening. Like you are impacting those around you in some capacity. That's happening for everyone. For me, I'm an amplifier, so that's happening at a larger scale. However, the real magic is when you deputize all the people that you've impacted to then impact the people around them. That is rippling kindness. So it's not just I'm spreading kindness to you, but now you're spreading kindness to those that you serve in the ripple of spreading goodwill in the world. Like there's this phrase, be the change you wish to see in the world. Yeah, be the change, do the thing, embody the thing. I meet a lot of people that talk about the thing or teach the thing, but they don't do the thing. And so when you talk about like the behind the scenes, the last 2 weeks in full transparency have been incredibly turbulent because a lot of big changes are happening in some of my companies and they could have gone in many different directions. And I just really chose, which in every moment I have a choice. I chose to be a conscious leader and I chose to navigate with compassion and grace and love and empathy and generosity and gratitude. And it's been such a beautiful unfolding that last night, one of our friends, Robert Murray, we had dinner and he said, wow, you really, seriously, Robert was over for dinner and he said, you really embody resilience at such a high level. It's interesting that you teach it because you really show up in such a resilient fashion for such high level, fast moving complexities. And I was like, well, yeah, before I teach anything, I just do for years and years and years and years and years. And I only end up teaching by proxy of people noticing what I'm doing and saying, can you share what you're doing? And then I'm happy to, but it's not like I sought out to teach the things. I just sought out to do the things.
No, we were like hollering at you. We're like, teach the things. We were like, open your throat, like let your voice out. And so you do the things, you learn the things, you continue to learn the things as you do it. So, I mean, your company, you're the founder and the CEO of the BGI educational consulting firm. And tell us about some of the effects you've rippled. You were basically saving New York, changing the culture, making things better. You've done this international stuff. So share a little bit about how this journey, this little girl who was told she couldn't do this giant list of things, is now doing even more enormous list of things.
An enormous list of things. Okay, so just because we're chatting, I want to have a visual. So you and I co-hosted a radio show during the pandemic, and that was such an amazing experience. And that was something that I created and cultivated and nurtured and invited 53 others along the journey to be co-hosts at some point within the many seasons of the 700 plus days of that running consistently. And that show is still running
700 plus days in a row, everybody.
In a row.
Clear on this, without a day off.
In a row, like a boss with you. And since that moment in 2021, we have impacted all of these New York City public schools. And so to be able to say like, oh, we've been of service in some capacity to over 600 New York City public schools since September of 2021, our educational consulting firm represents a variety of different tools and technologies in the well-being space to be able to support culture change at a small and large level. So whether it's classroom, school, district, city, state-wide change, we are inspiring people to understand that there are a variety of different tools and technologies that are available to help increase your overall well-being and to reduce your overwhelm within emergencies and to reduce the amount of incidents happening within school-based environments, because there is an infusion of well-being at every single capacity within a school building. And so we are culture change experts that are supportive not only with our instructional material, so we write exclusively for Light Switch Learning, assessment education company. And so we have a variety of culturally responsive picture books or inspirational biographies or growth mindset activity books or value-oriented picture books or different frameworks and tools that we will represent for others. And so we have been able to meet the needs of stakeholders at a very high level because we have such a robust series of offerings. We kind of say that we're like the Costco of the Costco of well-being for education. And so we can do anything from building sensory rooms and wellness rooms to providing the instructional material for classrooms or for schools or for families, to the coaching and training and strategic planning and facilitating and installations and wellness days that are needed to meet the needs of stakeholders at different levels. And we bring in after-school programs and morning routines and financial literacy programs and, you know, self-care and well-being support and personal goals support and resilience support in order to identify what are the avenues that we can make an incremental change on that could support at the highest level. And so that's what we at BGI are focused on. And that has been fascinating to see the ways that we were taking, like I have been doing this work just on my own for my friends and in service to humanity at a large level for a long time, over 15 plus years. But to be able to bring that into the education sector has been really rewarding because we've seen such impact at such a high level in such a small amount of time.
And that's incredible because, I mean, you and I have talked about this and then some of our other, Clubhouse hosts, and like, gosh, how different our lives would be if we had learned these words and tools and had these conversations when we were kids. And we're all doing well now, but we had to learn it as adults and figure it out. So by giving, particularly in a lot of the schools that you're in, these are underserved communities. These are people who don't have the resources to go out and get personal coaches and nutritionists. Some of the advice is such nonsense. They're like, oh yeah, hire these 14 people to help you. And you're like, cool, I was really hoping to pay rent this month, so I'm going to not do any of that. You're changing the trajectory of their lives, and that ripple effect, that word always comes back when I think about you, because then their children and their communities now have these words, this access. I mean, do you ever just stop for a minute and take that deep breath in and feel the ripple? Like, I hope you do, because we all feel it, especially when we're around you.
You're so cute. I do. Honestly, there's been so many opportunities to sit and reflect and like take a moment and be like, what just happened? There was a moment, I'm about to have a new photo, but there was a moment when I took this photo for the first time, and it was just like a compilation of like, oh wow, when did I get all those activity journals? When did I write all those picture books? Like, when did I create all those bilingual tools? Like, when did somebody acquire the rights to my resilience within chronic illness story for children? And now there's 2 biographies for elementary and middle school kids. Like, when did I create a kindergarten tool? Like, all those tools, just when I saw them all laid out, I took a moment to reflect in such a deep and meaningful way. And now when I see this photo, although I'm still like so proud, it's interesting to see the excitement about the next photo, because in the next photo, like I don't know when this episode is out. Like,
So this is coming out soon because we're scheduling our next one. You already have written and contributed to more than 19 books at my last count.
yeah, right there. Because a lot of for the Everything is Right About You movement, all of our tools are bilingual. And so we decided we really wanted to meet the needs of a lot of our new learners so that they could get the same access to growth mindset support as our other learners that are native English speaking. And so there is just this accessibility that we were trying to expand within this type of learning. And so that has been a big focus for my colleague, Dr. Jill, and I, who co-authored all of the Everything is Right About You activity journals and the Everything is Right About You value-oriented picture books. And it's been so interesting to see that, you know, if you have 5 activity journals, but they're bilingual, well, now there's really 10. And it is 10 books. They're 10, I mean, each book is its own labor of love. And so, yes, there have been about 19 books with the 2 elementary and middle school biography, with the kindergarten book, with. And it is just so interesting to see that so many more are in the pipeline. And there's different ways that I have utilized that origin story of just feeling so uncomfortable in my own skin and really taking not just moments to reflect on the impact, but to reflect on what I wish I would have had. That exactly what you were saying, like what I wish I would have had. And we've talked about this hundreds of times. And I crowdsourced what I wish I would have had and what a lot of my friends wish they would have had to navigate their challenges. And I, as an educational consulting firm, are now bringing those assets and frameworks and supportive tools to those that teach the next generation. And that has been the vehicle for impact, knowing that's what I wish I had. So if I wish I had that and you wish you had something else and our other friends wish they had something else, how can we give to those that are saying, I wish I could provide better resources to my kids and families and to my teachers, give them the resources to support their communities?
Who better to figure out what those resources are than somebody who's gone through it and needed it? And the amount of people that you collaborate with, you're one of the most connected people that I've ever known. And there's a reason for it. You're not just gathering friends or acquaintances like playing cards, like, look what I have. You just genuinely, people are drawn to you and you care. And so it's very funny because I'll talk to all kinds of people and they always know you. They, they always know you. And there's a reason because we all want to know you. And the work that you're doing is so incredible, particularly given your origin story, because a lot of people who went through that don't end up here where you are.
You know, I find a lot of meaning and purpose in my lived experience and in the challenges that I navigate, because each one of them gives me a forced moment to pause and a forced moment to breathe and a forced moment to reflect. And that's something that our friend Michael O'Brien always inspires. So he gave me the first language of the thing that I've been doing for a long time, taking a moment to pause, breathe, and reflect within each of my down moments, challenged moments, and to say, like, what's the thing that I can do to best support myself despite how I'm feeling right now? And to do that, drink a glass of water, ask for this help, do this therapy, go to this thing, like get that thing, whatever it is, get or do the thing. And to figure out how can I ask myself good questions regularly in the midst of challenges in order to get to the next level. When I've done that for so long, it led me to a place of, instead of wanting to be someone who was in my suffering all the time, I made it a part of my experience instead of the whole. And I figured out when I'm well and when I have capacity, what can I do to be of service, and to who, and at what levels. And it's not that I'm so strong all the time. I have these challenges every moment. There's so many things going on a moment-to-moment basis with my knee, with my foot, with my eye, with my head, with my shoulder, with my rib, you know, just so many things. And then that skin thing, and then that allergy thing, and then that, you know, organ thing. And each of the challenges have different levels of complexity or present themselves for different amounts of time. And I have to navigate through each one. And I just get to say, like, with the amount of capacity that I have in this moment, what can I do? And that has given me a lot of, I could just be on disability. Like a lot of people with my illness are, and that's that. And I'm not that person in this season. And I'm going to do all the good I can in all the ways I can, at all the times I can, for all the beings I can, as often as I can. And I live that as my North Star, and I collect these incredible people and tools and resources and frameworks, like trading cards. Like you're like, I know a lot of people, why I collect these people and resources and frameworks and trainings and programs so that I can share them with those that need them when I'm asked. And because I'm the kind of person that gets asked a lot, people ask me, do you know of support for this? A lot. So now I'm able to say, yes, and it's this. Let me connect you to that. And that has been deeply rewarding because I can see the impact in communities happening in such diverse and special ways. That's just so heartwarming and inspiring. And what's exciting is that I've been able to bring so many friends and colleagues along the journey. It's like not just me bringing myself forward. I have these colleagues and partners, like Hal Elrod is one of my partners. Dr. Jill Kahn is one of my partners. Ron and Steve Sussman are partners of mine. And I have so many other partners that are on a journey to make the world a better place from a strategic serving of the next generation space. And it has been fascinating to just see the ripple effect of each intentional seed that's been planted.
And it's true. It is such a, I mean, the group that you surround yourself with, your vibe attracts your tribe, and it shows very clearly. One thing I want to highlight that you've talked about, and so for somebody who is sitting there listening to this, they either have a chronic illness or they're going on through that journey, or they're supporting a loved one who is on that, which can also be its own journey and stressors. You talk about gratitude, you talk about kindness, like those you're well known for, but one of the other things that you're well known for are questions. And you've mentioned it, and that appreciative inquiry, and that is the thing that changed the trajectory of your life. So you asked yourself some questions. Somebody who's listening to this, what are some examples of some questions they might be able to ask themselves, their caregivers, their team, like anything that you can give them as a tool to take home for the end of this episode?
Yes. Well, I mentioned two of them already briefly. Despite how I'm feeling, what can I do to best support myself right now? And that's like, take a deep breath. Like, do this therapy program tool thing, grab this thing, drink this water, whatever it is. Despite what I'm feeling, what can I do to best support myself right now? And when I'm having consistent challenges, what are the resources and tools I wish I had accessible? And how can I place them in accessible places? And then that creates a conversation of, what do I want to put on my nightstand? What do I want to put on my desk? What do I want to put in the living room? What do I want to? I have very serious problems when little things happen. So I would like slippers, very specific slippers, everywhere at all times. Otherwise, I have massive amounts of shooting pain in places that I just want to avoid that. Like, of course, I'm going to have a pair of slippers at the front door and in my bedroom. Obviously. So for you, whatever your thing is, just figure out your thing and navigate it. Be strategic with where you can put what to be of service to yourself, knowing, oh, I'm going to want that thing here and there. And then the third one is really about elevating your environment and anchors. What are the words? What are the phrases? What are the things that you'd like to see or have as reminders for you to something? So for instance, if you need that special everything is right about you, take a deep breath message on your phone as a reminder that goes off twice a day, or maybe it's this poster. For instance, I have a poster right here that says there is overwhelming evidence that things are going to work out. There is overwhelming evidence that things are going to work out. And then in front of me, it says the best day of the rest of your life hasn't even happened yet. That's what it says over there and over here. And I tell you that because what are the words that you'd like to put up? I have the Miracle Morning Art of Affirmations coloring book, and I always invite people, yes, I invite people to
Which I buy in bulk and give to hospitals and ERs. I genuinely follow through and believe in this.
And it's such a powerful tool because it's not about the coloring, it's about what happens next. If you need the phrase, I believe in my potential, not in my past, so that it's on your wall, so that you can ask yourself every morning, what is it about my potential that I'm going to step into every morning? What are the anchors? What are the things that you're going to put in your environment to remind you to do the things, the micro things that are going to best support you? So if you're a caregiver, how can you be a positive inspiration for someone to do something for 1 minute ever? So like what's the one thing you can do for 1 minute to best support yourself right now? So I ask myself that question regularly. I ask myself, despite how I'm feeling, what can I do to best support myself regularly? I ask a lot of these small questions. What do I need in my environment when I'm in a challenging moment? You know, what are the things that I need to re-anchor me when I'm in a mental spiral? Like when I'm in a challenging moment, I might want a phrase or a word or an affirmation or a vision board or this like crystal or to reorient me or to pull me out of the moment. And so how can you set yourself up mentally and spatially for success? That's like my biggest takeaway. And actually Dr. Gregory Stock and I will come back and share about the book of questions, Living with Chronic Illness, that we have coming out later in the spring. And that is a fascinating book that invites people living with chronic illness or people that are caregivers of those living with a chronic illness to navigate through overwhelm and emergencies in their healthcare journey, because we're inviting people to see and hear themselves for the first time. Here's the thing. Most people with a chronic illness do not see and hear themselves. It just is. I didn't see and hear myself, and I expected other people to see and hear me. But I didn't understand that you cannot expect something of someone else that you do not give to yourself. And so the moment I started to ask these intentional questions, I started to see myself in different ways and release layers of the trauma related to this perpetual suffering that I experienced. And in the releasing of some of that, I found meaning and purpose and new levels of awareness and new levels of what can I do with the information that I've gained? And that has led to being of impact. It's not like I just decided one day I want to impact the Department of Education and in this huge way. Like this was part of the journey that led me to be of service to those that I wish I had that service. And since I didn't, I'm now being the change I wish to see. And it has, what I've noticed is that when people see and hear themselves for the first time, they're also able to, for the first time, acknowledge the personal goals that are being hit. Because what often happens is we harp on what's wrong or what's not going well, but we ignore what's working or what is going well. And so I like to invite people with a chronic illness, specifically people in the thick of it, to celebrate. Like I was able to get to the back. Like I celebrated yesterday. I had to violently throw up in a public place, and I got to the bathroom and I didn't make a mess on anyone. I didn't ruin the lunch. I did not make a huge mess all the way to it. I got to every single thing that, like, let me tell you how many times I have violently thrown up in public places and actually caused a big destruction for myself and problems for other people. Like, so this throughout my childhood and throughout my life, there has been a lot of situations that I navigate more mindfully now. And when they happen, even though it's like a small thing, like I threw up in the toilet, let me tell you how far that toilet was from where I was sitting with all these people. And I was so proud. And that's a perfect example of celebrate that little thing. Celebrate that little thing, because it helps you to cultivate more awareness about how resilient you are and how you're navigating, and give yourself a break. Like when that doesn't happen, you did the best that you could. So I use the language, I'm doing the best that I can, a lot, because I actually am doing the best that I can. And even if it doesn't look like it on the outside, in a lot of ways, in that moment, I really am doing the best that I can. And so the book of questions, Living with Chronic Illness, with Dr. Gregory Stock has been, we've been working on it for 5 years, and it's been a labor of love to be able to invite people to ask consistent questions like the ones we just discussed, and one-off questions that can lead to new levels of awareness. And so that has been kind of like my life. It's like my life's work. It's happening one day in the spring.
It is. We're going to have you both on because those chronic illness conversations, I mean, it's different, like having a one-off appendicitis, which isn't fun, but the changes it makes for chronic illness. We're going to have, I mean, so many conversations, so many people to continue to connect you with and share this work. We'll put in the show notes all the different ways that people can find you at your website, BriannaGreenspan.com, and just to find you, to connect with you, to bring what you're doing to their schools and their communities. Because someone's like, hey, I'm not in New York, but I want that. I want that for my kids. I want that for my community. And
there are so many ways. You can buy all our books from our publisher at lightswitchlearning.com. You can go to miraclemorningschools.com if you would like to be like part of our newsletter or become a Miracle Morning School. You can go to briannagreenspan.com if you want to learn more about me and the work that I do and the speaking and coaching and support that we offer at BGI. And I'm sure there's 27 other ways that you could find more with a Google search.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, and I'm so excited. We're going to hop on the next episode and talk about the book. You said it's a 5-year journey writing the book, but really it's a lifelong journey.
Yes.
And this is going to help so many people, the people who are in a place where they don't want to live like this anymore, which often means they don't want to live anymore.
Yeah. And, we talked a lot about the personal side and the give back side of who I am. And I'm excited to, on another conversation, dive into how in the healthcare field, I represent an allergic disease and have been of service to the diagnostic process for a lot of people with mysterious illnesses, and that whole aspect of navigating overwhelm with diagnosis and like navigating the emergencies of immediate healthcare needs without like in pre-diagnosis or in the midst of misdiagnosis is a whole other conversation that I'm excited to have with you, because you and I have such an interesting Venn diagram overlap, and you're so diverse and unique and extraordinary and do so many things. And I don't often meet people that are so multidimensional in ways that I am. And so I love that you're now leading this podcast because you talk about so many things, and in the work that we, talk about behind the scenes, there's so many overlaps. So I appreciate you bringing this conversation forward where people can learn more about how do you take personal ownership and responsibility over your life, and at a personal level, on a professional level, on a contribution level, etc. So I just love you so much, and I'm excited to talk to you more about all the things.
I love it. I knew that there was too much to be contained in one episode. So this is part 1. Everybody stay tuned for the key takeaways here. And for part 2, honestly, we could just have our own podcast, but that's a whole nother conversation. So Brianna Greenspan, I love you so much. Thank you for being here with us today. All right, before diving into the top takeaways for this amazing episode, don't forget to grab your free downloadable resource to help you evaluate your healthcare providers. It's packed with actionable tips to ensure you and your loved ones receive the best care that you deserve. Link in the show notes. All right, quick top 10 takeaways from this amazing episode with Brianna Greenspan. Number 1, your origin story is just the beginning. Brianna shared the story of her journey overcoming chronic illness and the challenges of being misdiagnosed, navigating emergencies, and feeling unheard. Her story highlights the power of resilience and the importance of asking intentional questions to reframe challenges into growth opportunities. Number 2, the transformative power of questions. Questions like, despite how I'm feeling, what can I do best to support myself right now, shifted Brianna's life trajectory. Intentional questions can guide you or your loved ones in finding solutions, reducing overwhelm, and navigating difficult healthcare moments. Number 3, creating an empowering environment. Re-emphasize setting up your environment for success by keeping tools and resources close at hand, whether it's having water nearby, a vision board, affirmations. or specific tools for chronic illness management, proximity to solutions reduces stress in those moments of need. Number 4, rippling kindness and amplifying effect. Through her educational consulting firm, BGI, Brianna has implemented wellness initiatives in over 600 New York City schools. Her ripple effect shows that impacting others starts with embodying the values of kindness, compassion, and resilience. Number 5, celebrate small wins. Even small moments like managing symptoms effectively or finding tools to navigate emergencies are worth celebrating. These victories cultivate resilience and a sense of accomplishment, helping to shift focus from what's going wrong to what's going right. Number 6, the importance of anchors and affirmations. Brianna keeps affirmations and reminders visible to ground herself during challenging moments. Statements like the best day of your life hasn't even happened yet serve as a powerful mental anchors. Number 7, gratitude as a catalyst for growth. Gratitude helps reframe challenges and find meaning in the moment. Brianna's approach encourages caregivers and those with chronic illness to focus on what's going well, building a foundation for resilience. Number 8, be the change you wish to see. Brianna's commitment to supporting others stems from her own experiences. She's turned her pain into purpose, providing the resources she wished she had during her toughest moments. Her journey is a reminder that adversity can inspire meaningful contributions. Number 9, intentional questions for caregivers and patients. Caregivers and those with chronic illness can benefit from asking questions like, what can I do to support myself or my loved one right now? What tools or resources would reduce overwhelm, and how can I make them accessible? And what words or phrases inspire me, and how can I incorporate them into my environment? And lastly, number 10, collaboration is key. Brianna's success comes not just from her own efforts, but from collaborating with others. Her partnerships with influential figures and organizations amplify her effect, showing the value of shared purpose and collective action. So what is your biggest takeaway? Share your thoughts in the comments or on social media, and don't forget to tag us. And stay tuned for part 2 of Brianna's inspirational journey as she shares the content of her upcoming book about being a patient with chronic illness for so many years. Thank you so much for being part of this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Navigating Hope.
Thank you for tuning into Navigating Hope with me, Dr. Jaime Hope. It has been an honor to navigate the realms of health and wellness with you today. Remember, in the journey toward a healthier life, knowledge is your compass. If you enjoyed our time together, please share, like, and subscribe to Navigating Hope. Join us next week where we'll continue to empower your health journey, arming you with the wisdom to navigate life's challenges and keep the emergency room in your rearview mirror.